So at some point, we better worry about privilege, not just because of what it does to the ones without it, but what it does to us, what it turns us into, what it allows our policymakers to do in our name, which is not actually in our interest. We better understand that this is a system that is every bit as capable of hurting and killing us. We are not the first targets, no. We are not the intended targets. We are perhaps the collateral damage of this system, but damage nonetheless. And if we don't want that to continue, if we want to be free of that risk that we ourselves are now placed in, we have to care about it not as an act of altruism or paternalistic concern, but as an act of self-interest and self-liberation. And this is our job, and this is our duty, irrespective of our guilt. See, it is very important, and I want to close with this before taking questions. I want you to know that this has nothing to do with guilt. I realize that none of the people in this room and none of the people in the other rooms to which I speak every single week in this country somewhere are the ones who themselves, individually, or even collectively, are responsible for the creation of this system of inequality, of privilege, of oppression, of marginalization. And that is not the point. I know we didn't create it, but we are here now. And we inherit the legacy of that which has come before. If you were to become the chief executive officer of a company one day, you would not be able to go in to that company and call your chief financial officer on the phone and say, you know what? I want to look at the books. I want to know how much we have, what our assets are, what's our revenue stream. You know, I want to know all that because I want to take us to new and greater heights. And so you ask the CFO to come in and give you the PowerPoint presentation, the spreadsheets, and she comes in with all of this technology and all of this data and gives you the presentation. Here's our assets. Here's our revenue stream. Here's our outstanding debt. What do you think? You wouldn't be able to look at that CFO and tell her, you know, I really like your presentation. It's great to know we have all these assets and some really amazing income coming in. But the next time I ask you to come and show me that, don't bring me the debt material, all that stuff about what we owe, because see, I wasn't here when y'all ran that up. That was that other guy. That was your last chief executive officer. The debts of those older leaders, those are on them. Have them pay them. I'm going to make use of the assets, oh yes. I'm going to make use of the income, oh yes. But I'm not going to pay the debts because they're not mine. You couldn't do that. You'd be ushered to your car by security. But that's exactly what we do as a society, isn't it? We say, the debts are not ours. Oh, the glory is ours. All the stuff that we've accumulated as a nation and as a people, that's ours. We don't mind living in the past as long as it glorifies us. That's what history books do. That's what July 4th is. We just don't want to own up to the part that's less flattering because we feel guilty, but it isn't about guilt. It's about responsibility. Those two things are not synonymous. If we don't know the difference, we should look it up. When we get tired of living in the funk, in the residue of that which has been given to us by others, with no regard for the impact and the damage that they would do to us and to our children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren if and when we are lucky enough to have them. When we get tired of living in that residue, in that funk, and saying enough, then we'll get busy cleaning it, not because we created it, but because we're the only ones left to do the job. And if we don't, we will be back, or our children and our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren will be back in rooms just like this one in generations to come. But I assure you that if they inherit this legacy, as we have inherited, the stakes will be far greater, the risk will be far greater, and the odds of success and victory at creating justice and opportunity for all will be far more remote. And so if we don't want to see that day come, it is up to us to get busy. It is up to us to take responsibility, not because we are guilty, but because we are here. Thank you very much and take care.